Hello everyone. We're closing in on Valentine's Day here relatively quickly, and I recently read an article on some research done into Valentine's Day and how as social media becomes more and more prominent, people are starting to feel more and more stress and pressure around Valentine's Day, to the point where now it's one of the most stressful holidays, or pseudo holidays I guess, that we have, because people see these grand gestures of, massive, really fancy dates planned and huge gifts and, people decorating their whole houses and all of these things. And, when people see that, they feel pressured to be able to do the same thing or have this amazing Valentine's Day surprise. And the reality is that if you don't know the love language of your significant other, then you could put all the effort in the world into some of these grand gestures, and you're not going to experience the same return or thanks from your partner, because it may not have been the way that that person hears "I love you." So I thought today we might talk through the 5 love languages that were outlined by Dr. Gary Chapman in his book. If you know what love language you are, then I encourage you to follow along. Maybe it's a review, something to keep in mind as you're planning your Valentine's Day. If you're not familiar with it or you don't know your love language, then there are online quizzes. There are quizzes in the back of Dr. Gary Chapman's book. I would really encourage you to, do a quick run through with yourself and your partner. It really helps, because one of the 5 love languages is going to tell you how your partner expresses that they love you and how they hear "I love you." And if you speak that language, they're going to pick up on it and appreciate it. But if you're not, then they're not going to necessarily hear what your intention is. So the first love language is quality time. If I were considering, okay, my partner feels I love you and I spend quality time with him or her, then I may plan something very simple for Valentine's Day. We may, spend time watching movie together in the basement with popcorn and the lights down and just the 2 of us. Or we may go to a really intimate place to have dinner so that we can spend time together and talk. If I have a family, I may get a babysitter for the night or send the kids out for the night so that just me and my partner can spend time together doing a shared activity that we both enjoy, perhaps, or it may be just a discussion. But spending that quality time together is how that person is going to hear "I love you," versus coming home with a box of, fancy chocolates from somewhere or buying them roses. They'll appreciate the gesture, but they're going to connect more with you spending time with them. However, someone whose love language is giving and receiving gifts, now if you come home to them with a box of chocolates or a bouquet of flowers or a really fancy jewelry set or something like that, they are going to hear "I love you," because for them, you love people, and when you love people, you give them things. And it's not in a materialistic sort of way, it's in a very loving, this is how I show you I care. So it can be very small things. And so you don't want to necessarily get caught up in the crazy commercialized Valentine's Day expectations. They may hear "I love you" if you bring home a chocolate bar with you from work one day and just say, "I was just thinking of you and I brought this home." And they may find that the most romantic gesture you've ever done, versus, maybe taking them to the most high-end restaurant in town. You may decide to, bring them home a bundle of flowers from Safeway. The fact that it is a gift is what's going to be the most important. It's not going to matter whether you bought them from the top florist in the country or from Safeway, because it's the act of receiving the gift that says "I love you." Now, there are also individuals who hear "I love you" when you do acts of service for them, which means doing things that help them out or make life easier for them. So if you were to throw a big party for somebody whose love language is acts of service, they're going to look at the party and think, "Oh my goodness, there's so much to clean up here. I don't know what I'm going to do. This is so much work. Why would they ever have done this? This has just made my life more difficult." And so, you know, they may appreciate your attempt, but they're not going to hear I love you from that. Someone who is more attuned maybe to acts of service might instead decide to do all of the housework for a week for a person, or get that one project done they've been promising for forever to do and just haven't gotten around to it, or, you know, may do the dishes or offer to cook supper, or, you know, anything you can do to make that person's life easier. They're really going to connect with, oh, this is my partner telling me on Valentine's Day how much they love me. The fourth way is words of affirmation, and these are the people who are going to really want you to say or to tell them using words somehow how much they mean to you. So these tend to be the people who love cards. You know, anybody who, you know, enjoys buying cards, which some people seem to enjoy them and some do not. But, you know, words that really reflect how you're feeling, if they're in a card, or if you write them in a card, or if you say them to the person and they're really well thought out and they're a really clear expression of your feeling, or even just intentionally saying I love you more often over Valentine's Day. They're really going to hear those words. Or it can be words of encouragement. So, you know, I'm so happy that you are here to help me keep the house clean, or you do such a wonderful job with our children, or, you know, you're an excellent cook, or whatever it is. It's words of appreciation to show that what they've done for you really matters to you and that you appreciate it. And through those words, they're going to hear, I love you. And the last one is physical touch. Now, there are some people that hear I love you through physical touch. And these people are the ones who are going to want to hold hands. They're going to want to hug, snuggle, sit on the couch together and be like smooshed up together. You know, taking a person like that out for Valentine's Day to a really fancy dinner somewhere where there's a table between the two of you and you're not touching, again, they'll appreciate the dinner, but they're not going to hear I love you the same way they would have had it included some kind of physical touch. And so people who have physical touch as their love language and you're considering Valentine's Day, you know, perhaps learn how to do a basic massage, or give a foot rub, or, you know, spend time curled up together just cuddling, you know, holding hands, all of these sorts of things, all the way up to, you know, more traditional ways of showing physically showing love. But they're going to really hear it when there's a physical connection involved. And so if you keep these 5 love languages in mind when you're planning your Valentine's Day gift, it's going to help you really not stress out so much about it. Because if you have someone who hears I love you through acts of service, then truly all you have to do is help. You don't have to plan anything huge and elaborate. If you have someone who hears I love you through, you know, quality time, all they want to do is just be with you. And it doesn't have to be this fancy, expensive gift that you're giving them. Or, you know, for people who hear I love you by receiving gifts, a very personal, very thoughtful, very well-considered gift is going to say I love you to them more so than, you know, that new set of diamonds and costs half a year's salary. And, you know, if you're someone who hears it through physical touch, you know, snuggling down with somebody, especially in February when it's kind of cold outside, is not a huge, difficult task that requires a lot of planning. So if you consider, you know, how does my spouse or my partner show me that they love me? How do they hear I love you the best? And then choose one of those to inspire your Valentine's Day plans. It will make the whole thing easier, less stressful, and less, you know, feeling driven that you have to compete with whoever put their perfect photos up on their social media. So good luck with your Valentine's Day planning. I hope this is helpful, and I will talk to you again soon.